Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Easy Does It, a podcast created specifically for the amazing members of the MJ team. Rob and I are back with you again, excited for another great episode.
Yeah.
As usual, we will have some news for you, and then we will jump into our topic. But before that, we are going to go back into our grab bag of questions. And while we did decide prior to starting what the question would be, I am very, very curious as to what Rob is going to say.
You sound so professional right now. You sound like a radio show host.
Well, I appreciate that.
Welcome to Morris-Jenkins.
Maybe I'll be... So I've never wanted to be on a commercial, I don't think. But I think maybe I could get down with a radio ad.
You could do like a voice acting thing.
I think I would like that.
Yeah.
Write that down, Corey. Put me on your list. Okay, here is the grab bag question today. Rob, what is the worst fashion decision you have ever made?
Okay, hear me out. So I was in high school, y'all. I was trying to find my path in life. I would sometimes wear baggy jeans and a baggy shirt, and then other times I had like Hollister pants and tighter shirts.
Okay.
And then even when me and my wife met, I did work at Hollister and Abercrombie at one point. Anyways, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that. But when I was in high school, I was in JROTC, and I had just started getting facial hair, and I had a mustache growing. It was like thin little baby hairs, and they got a little thicker. And when you're in the JROTC part of your uniform, you can have a mustache, but the corners of your mustache the edges cannot go past the corner of your mouth, right?
Okay.
And so I had to shave the corners. And I didn't like pencil it down at an angle. It was just like straight cut off, straight up and down. And it was just the best I could do. I didn't even have like beard trimmers or anything. So I'm like shaving. And so I was doing this practice for a while. I was in JRTC for 4 years. And one time I shaved one side a little too short. And I was like, I got to even this bad boy up. So I did the other side a little shorter. And I'm like, crap. And so then I do the other side, and I finally get them lined up, and I lie to you not, it is like straight up Hitler. Like straight up, right under, no wider than my nose. Like, right? It's like really, really short. And so I'm like holding on hair for dear life. So I just decide to go to school like that. Mm-hmm. And I do not know how many looks and how many people made fun of me. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I got made fun of for the whole day, and of course I shaved it that night.
Uh-huh.
I'd been in JRTC for a while, and I'd had a mustache for probably a couple years, just trying to grow that thing in. Mm-hmm. And
then you had to shave it all off.
And I looked completely different. People were like, "Dang, I didn't realize your lip was that big." You know, like all the. I'm like, "Dadgummit." So then I tried to grow it back out. So yeah, that was my fashion choice.
I would, probably no one captured that.
No. It was one day and one day only.
Aren't you so, I don't know, like I go back and forth between, I feel really relieved that there weren't cameras on phones when I was that age.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for any dubious reasons, but just because there's not a whole lot of physical evidence of
the choices that we've made. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's funny that you say that about what yours is, because mine is also not necessarily.
You got a mustache.
No. Mine is not necessarily a clothing fashion decision, although there was. There were some of those that were probably questionable too, but mine is has also to do with my look, and I would have to say that mine was probably mall bangs.
What?
So, yeah, all the ladies out there, they know exactly what I'm talking about, especially if you were born in the 80s, maybe the 90s. So mall bangs is where you would take your bangs. So I don't even really have bangs now, but, and you would use a curling iron and you would like almost curl half of them up and then half of them down. There's some different There's some, yeah. Google.
I'm looking this up right now.
Google it. So, and then you would kind of like tease that out, get it just how you want it. Show it to me, please, when you find it on Google.
I type mall bands.
And then you would, I am talking hairspray the hell out of those things, and they would stay exactly in place for the remainder of the day.
Was this you?
It's really not that far off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's some more there, probably a little nicer, I guess.
That makes your mustache look like nothing. Okay.
Dang.
So we will definitely. I will send those to me so that I can.
I will save that. Is this probably like the nicer version of it? Probably.
Yeah. Yep. So the up and down. And then notice how there's some wings there too, kind of out to the side by the ears. You want some volume. So I have.
This is amazing. Guys. We're gonna have to attach a few of these to the show notes.
Oh yeah. So I have naturally curly, thick hair. So my hair is already bushy.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot. It was a lot. If I really muster up the courage and I can find it at home, I will also put out there for you guys, which you will not believe is me. I think this maybe was in middle school. I had braces, glasses, and my glasses were gigantic. I don't know why they were so big. And
mall bangs. The bangs with the poofy curly hair. It was a whole scene. Please find these.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was something else. So that's it. That's my worst fashion decision you ever made.
Dang.
Yeah.
I've seen them. I didn't actually know what
they had a name.
Bangs were.
Yep.
Got them.
Yep.
That's an image.
Yep. It sure is an image.
I can't wait to put those out there.
Yes. So, any of you ladies out there who also have mall bangs, no shame.
Susan was telling me about Aquanet.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know quite what that was. And so she had to inform me of what that was.
There was another one too. Rave might have been the name of it. But you had to. It was essential to have level 4 ultra hold hairspray because your hair can't stay.
It's not staying like that all the time.
It can't stand up like that by itself. Mm-hmm. So you had to lock that ish in place. It was something else.
Oh, I love that for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love that.
Yep. Unfortunately, there are a few pictures. There is some capturing of that phase of my life. So
well, I think it's important that our audience connects with who we are, and what better way to do that than
you know what? I'm pretty sure I do have a picture of you on my camera roll from I don't know when it would be. It's like from a yearbook. Somehow, some way, I have a picture of you and Erica, and I think it was because you guys probably went to school together.
Oh, my.
Don't worry.
Well, we did go to school together.
Don't worry. I'll attach that to the show notes, too.
Me and Erica did go to school together, one of our texts. And I'm trying to find... There was a picture I had on my Facebook. It's old, but it's a old photo of me when I was younger that I had the mustache. Because I actually had a mustache. There it is. Now, this is when I actually went to the barber shop and they trimmed up my mustache for me. And they lined me up and looked a lot better. The image that I'm showing Meredith right now is a pencil skinny mustache, and they parted the middle. And then this was when it was...
will also be in the show notes.
A little shorter. Me and my boy Ryan Treat back in the day.
The eyebrows are giving...
What are you trying to say about my eyebrows?
No, I mean, like, not the... Like the way they're giving...
the sun was in my eyes.
The other one too, you had an eyebrow, like, not The Rock, but you know what I mean?
Dang. Some of these old, okay, so this was a little bit more lined up. That was when I graduated, so
Yes.
I had the mustache handled at that point.
I'm seeing it now.
Yeah.
I'm seeing some more correlation
And
to our current.
that was when I had the caterpillar underneath the lip too. I had a little. I don't even know what you call that. Like a little. That's not a goatee, is that? That's not.
No, that's not a goatee.
I got the hair underneath the lip. Mm-hmm. There's some stories that go along with that too.
Did you have an earring?
Yes, I had a gauge. I had a 0. Is that in that picture? Yeah, I had a 0. There it is.
Wow.
Yeah, that did close up for the most part. Now I can just put like an earring in there if I wanted to. The hole never really actually closed, but my gauge folks out there, y'all know how it is. You got to put in the new earring. It's a little bigger. It hurts. It itches. You got to keep it cleaned and all the things.
Wow.
Oh, this is taking me back.
What a trip down memory lane.
Oh, this is such a good question.
Yep.
I like that one.
That was a good question. So if you've never checked out the show notes, this would be the episode to do that, because by the time we're done with it, it sounds like there's going to be some gems.
I'll if you're gonna put up your photo, I'll put up one of my photos.
Okay.
I'll find a good one to put on there. There's some good ones in there on my Facebook. Oh, those are public. I'll put those out there.
Okay, yeah, they're already out there for the world to see.
Yep.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed that little snippet into our lives. We all had those fashion moments as we were growing up. Okay, so news this week, or for this episode and going forward for a few episodes, we are going to pull some stuff out of Mr. Jenkins Told Me. So most of you have a copy of this book. I would strongly suggest that you take some time to read it, or even reread it, because every time I read it, I get something else out of it. So we're going to go to the back of the book. There's a section, it's the last section in the book, and it's called Mr. Jenkins Told Me, The Why Behind Morris-Jenkins. So I actually just read this to our most current tech builder folks who just completed the tech builder program. And while I was reading it, I thought, you know what? This deserves to be repeated. So here we are. Okay, I'm going to read you this part and then we'll chat about it for a moment. We don't believe you showed up here by accident. We believe you're here for a reason. And if that's true, then we have a responsibility to you, because that means we're not here by accident either. At Morris-Jenkins, it's our duty to, number 1, provide ethical leadership, number 2, be a positive influence, and number 3, help you develop and grow. But you also have a responsibility to us. That responsibility is to grow and develop and become better tomorrow than you are today. Please understand, we're not looking for perfection. It's okay to do something imperfectly until you've learned to do it well. We're just looking for ongoing improvement. Mm-hmm. And so that's the first one. It talks about how we have a responsibility to each other. Morris-Jenkins has a responsibility to you, and you have a responsibility to Morris-Jenkins. So I think when I love the part, we don't believe you showed up here by accident, and we don't believe that we're here by accident either, and that we both owe something to each other. So I like the fact that, you know, Dewey recognizes that we all cross each other's paths for a certain reason, and that we can hold each other accountable for the things that we are responsible for to each other.
Yeah, I like the part saying we'll develop you, help and grow, but then also at the same time, it's the individual's responsibility to. Somebody asked me, you know, how long I'd worked here, and you know, the part that had actually changed, like transformed me. Every job that I've ever had, I've always worked there about 2 years. It's like 2.5 years. I would get bored or whatever, and I would move on. I worked at good old Chick-fil-A, my pleasure. I worked at my uncle's construction company. I've done, obviously, Abercrombie and Hollister back in the day. Me and my wife worked together before we got married. And every place, it was always that short amount of time, and I was always waiting for the place to like grow me and give me the next thing. And it was almost like you're asking for permission to become better, and you're waiting for them to do it for you. And the thing that this place changed about me, I did step in initially with the same mentality, but it was that this place you can infinitely grow and make yourself better. And I'm not just saying this because I work here, but it's true. It changed my mindset completely that, well, you shouldn't wait for other people to grow you, even though this place does, but it's really in your hands. We have a library, we have classes that we put on all the time. Your managers continue to push you and grow you all the time. Like, it's always happening if you let it. And that changed everything for me, knowing that I can infinitely grow if I choose to do it. And this place, that's what kept my interest. I've been here for 14 years. That's kept my interest from the beginning. And I mean, I've learned so much here. I had somebody recently tell me they wanted to go to college for business management. And I'm like, dude, that's great. That's awesome. And he's like, yeah, I want to be a manager one day, and I feel like this is the path to get there. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. But I'm also thinking in my mind, I'm like, you could get a world-class business education here, business management, and get the experience at the same time. What happens when you graduate college? Mm-hmm. You want to apply to a place, and they're like, well, great. As long as you have experience, you can get hired here. And what place is going to give you experience? A lot of times you have to start at the bottom anyway.
Yeah.
So this place, you can truly get that.
Yeah. It made me think as well, and kind of what you're saying is like all the things are right there in front of you. It's just deciding to develop and grow. And I know we go back and forth with this on the training team all the time. It's like, I love learning. And so I want to make everybody else love learning too. I want everybody else to learn as much as I do and be as interested in learning as I am. And we want to give it, and bring everybody into the classes and give everybody all the things.
Right.
But we also recognize, which that's been something that's been hard for me to adjust to, is that the individual or the person, they have to at some point make the choice.
Right.
We can only do so much. If we brought everybody in for every training that we ever did, the same people are still going to walk away and do things with that training because they make the choice to. Mm-hmm. Just because everybody comes to the training does not mean that they're learning and growing. That's the easy part, is coming to the learning or to the teaching. And so I think that part really sticks with me as well, is that it is our responsibility to provide the things to help people develop and grow. But at the end of the day, it's everybody's responsibility to learn and grow and to be better today than they were yesterday.
Yep.
So I think it's awesome that we are in a place that supports the idea of growing and learning and developing yourself, not just as a HVAC tech or a plumber or a CSR or a dispatcher or whatever you're doing for your day-to-day job, but we also believe in growing ourselves as people.
Yeah, a lot, if not all of it, is your choice.
Yep.
You can have places that push you to grow and kind of force it upon you, but if you're not ready, then it's just like, man, look at all this work they're making me do. Mm-hmm. It's just like school. You're getting an education, you're becoming better, but we don't always look at school. When you're a kid, you're like, man, this sucks. I don't want to go to school today.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was ever really excited to go to school those days, except for like when we had weight training or you had PE that day, or, my favorite subject was always lunch. But, it's like every day you got to do that. Now we're here and you get to learn and push yourself.
Yeah.
Every circumstance you can look at is, I have to do this or I get to do this. And I think it's important to reframe education, because you can learn so much from people that have lived years, if not hundreds of years before you, and learn from their mistakes without having to experience them on your own. I think that's the benefit and the gift of education in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this ties perfectly to what we're going to talk about today.
Oh, yeah.
So our topic for this episode is motivation. And so I think that ties perfectly to the Dues News, because at some point you've got to be motivated enough to work on yourself, to develop yourself, to change something in yourself, which goes right back to being better tomorrow than you were today. I've said it 9 different ways already.
Be better today than you were yesterday.
Or be better tomorrow than you were today.
That works too.
It's the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. I'll just be making up my own quotes up in here.
That's okay.
I know. I do think I just said it like 4 different ways.
Hey, they all said the same thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
So our topic for today is motivation. If we're ready to change, or we want to make a change, or we want to develop ourselves or grow ourselves, then how do we get motivated? Or what causes us to become motivated to do those things, to change, to grow, to develop, to do something different. So I guess I'll start off by asking.
Let me guess. You looked at the scientific side of motivation, didn't you?
Of course I did.
Of course you did.
Of course I did.
We need the scientific side,
We certainly do. But I will ask you first, Rob, how would you define, or what do you think motivation is?
I did not look up the definition for this.
Yeah, that's not really a definition either, but...
I just think it's finding the... I don't know. I feel like there's like a little magic inside, like when you're watching a motivational video or you see something that you want. It's this little magic that happens on the inside that it makes you want to do something. I think of motivation. I have a lot of opinions about motivation that I'm sure we'll get into, but I mean, just initially, I think we need motivation from time to time because that internal drive some days isn't there. I mean, it's pretty natural. And I happen to look up some scientific stuff when it comes to motivation myself. But, like just on a basic level, it's just finding the little energy to want to do things that you feel like you want to do. And sometimes the things that you don't want to do, you got to have a little bit more energy to do those things, but they need to get done. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I don't know that mine is really a definition. I kind of put together a couple things that I really liked, so I guess it's my own personal definition. So motivation describes why a person does something. It's the process that initiates, guides, and maintains goal-oriented behaviors. There's got to be this condition inside us that desires change. I think that's this spark. That's this magic thing you're talking about. To me, is like there's something inside that says something needs to change, and then we start getting motivated to do that. I'll probably reference this article quite a few times, but James Clear, the writer of Atomic Habits, which is in the library, he said, at some point, the pain of not doing something is greater than the pain of doing it.
Yeah.
The pain of not doing something is greater than the pain of doing it. And that's when we become motivated. That's when we become motivated to change something or to do something different, is because not doing it becomes more painful than doing it itself. So I liked that as well. It's kind of like, okay, you get to a point and you're just like, something's got to change here.
Something's got to give.
Yep. And so I think that kind of captured that for me. It's this thing inside of us that desires change.
Yeah, you do see people often where they're just like, something's got to give or something has given and I'm done and I'm going to go do this. And it's usually they've found, I don't know, I have people ask me, like, I want to get in shape and I want to make some changes. And I'm like, that's great. Actually, somebody asked me the other day, my wife wants to, they want to improve. And I'm like, cool, like, let's go. But then after kind of having discussions and everything, this person just wasn't ready. They're not ready for the change. That pain of, if it could be the pain of regret or the pain of seeing themselves or not being able to do something, pick up their kids or whatever it is. It's just like that. It's not enough for them to make a decision yet. But when the people that are like ready, they're like, I'm freaking done with this. And like, that's the person that I want because they're already, it's not even motivation. It's they have a drive.
Yeah.
And so motivation for me, like I know we're talking about motivation today, but I feel like you see there's a lot of people that say motivation is crap. Like if I got to watch a motivational video to get me rolling, well, what happens when the video goes off? I'll be good for an hour and then I'm going to be, I'm tired. What they offer is you got to find drive. You have to find purpose on the other end. And I think even James Clear in his book with Atomic Habits, it's not just accomplishing a goal. It's accomplishing change. Like I have to become something different. So when I am something different, it's a constant.
Yeah.
So for me now, like I've done it enough to where I know we talk about the gym all the time. But I've done it enough times at 5 o'clock in the morning that if I don't go to the gym, I feel off. Do I want to wake up in the morning? Heck no.
Yeah.
But I got up.
Yeah.
Like,
He talks a lot about rituals
Yeah.
And that's essentially what you've done is you've created a ritual. And so then it doesn't feel, because he talks about in here, all the friction of a task happens at the beginning, or the majority of the friction of a task happens at the beginning. So if you make it easy to start, then the whole thing becomes easier. And that's where he talks about a ritual.
Yeah.
Because the ritual is kind of like the cueing behavior. It just signals, this is what we do. This is what I do. The decision-making part to start is the hardest. And so if you don't have to make the decision, if you just have a ritual that gets it started, like he talked about, if I'm, like for me, I've used this example on here before and I didn't even know that's what I was doing. Come home, put my stuff down, go put my workout clothes on. That's a ritual. It's not hard for me to go put my workout clothes on. But if I stood there at home and made had to be like, oh, I'm tired. It was a long day. We got to do dinner. The girls have swim. It's like if I stand there and kind of, like my mama would say, hem and haw about it.
Yeah.
If I go back and forth about it too long, then I'm giving myself a decision. And so if I make it easy to start and I get through the friction of the beginning, I just go in and I change my clothes. That's the ritual that signals to my body it's time to go exercise. I remember when we were trying to, those of you with kids out there who had trouble going to sleep at night. Oh my God. Luckily we're past that stage now most of the time. But I remember we went through this and we were trying to kind of do this wind down period at night before bed, because I had a book about it, right? So I had the book that told you exactly what to do. When do you need to be asleep? By 9:00. When do we need to start, winding down? 8:30. When do we need to be in bed? Because we don't get in bed and close our eyes and immediately go to sleep.
You got to wind down.
Right. So we want to be in bed by 8:30, asleep by 9:00. Okay. Well, if we need to be in bed by 8:30, we need to start the bedtime, bathroom, brush teeth, whatever,
right,
30 minutes before. Then maybe we read a story. All of those things are rituals, and they're telling your body it's time to sleep. And so this is no different. To me, it's like, okay, let's pick something that's really easy. Brush my teeth, right? Brush my teeth, read a book. That signals to my body it's time to go to bed. And so I think it's the same thing. Change my clothes. It's time to go exercise. So I think it's helpful. I do think that what you say about motivation is crap. I think that there has to be a combination. As I was reading this, I feel like some things, the drive, the discipline, I think all of those things, they come after motivation or in the midst of it maybe. I think motivation helps drive, like it gets you started.
Right.
Yeah, and I read about the 3 components of motivation. This is very scientific. The first one is activation. That's the decision to initiate. I've had enough, right? Like something's got to change. That is when your motivation is at the highest. Is like when you're like, let's do this. I'm ready to go. Then persistence is the next one. Continued effort toward a goal, even though obstacles exist. I think persistence and discipline are the same or similar. Mm-hmm. Like this is like
similar, yeah.
I'm going to keep going despite the fact that obstacles may be there or may be present. Intensity, that's the concentration or vigor that goes into pursuing the goal. So
that's part 3.
Yep.
Intensity.
I added a 4th one because I found it somewhere else. They didn't have that in the original.
What was number 3? It's activation.
Intensity.
Intensity. Okay.
Yeah, intensity is, and to me that maybe that's what you're saying in drive, like. That's how much concentration or effort I'm putting into pursuing the goal. Is it kind of like, meh? Or is it like, screaming out, ready to go?
Is that how you start your day? Sit in that car, Craig, I'm ready to go. Michael.
I don't know exactly what that looks like. And then completion that's when you reach the goal or you do what you wanted to do. You hit the 20 pounds lost, or you go to the gym 5 days, whatever the goal was, your motivation surges again at that time. Mm-hmm. Which I thought was interesting, how motivation is high when you start, and then of course it dips off, which is where we would want our discipline and drive to kick in. And then as you accomplish said goal, motivation surges again, which I think is really important, because we don't want to just stop when we've reached the goal. Because if we've lost 20 pounds and we hit the goal, if we stop, well, that's not...
I mean, technically you reached your goal, but the secondary goal is to maintain that,
right,
amount lost or whatever. Even if people want to run a race, once you finish the race, then you reached your goal. Is it just to run the race, or is it to be healthy, or be a runner or whatever?
Yeah, so I think that surging of motivation again, it's and he talks about that, James Clear talks about that too, is receiving immediate feedback about your progress. So when you reach a goal, that's receiving feedback. Oh, hey, what I did was good. It was right. It was what I needed to do. And so that helps the motivation to kind of surge or stay high again, so you have the desire to want to continue on what might be a more difficult path.
Yeah. I found this really interesting graphic, which I'll put in the show notes for everybody, but it was a scientific approach too. But if you can imagine just like a square, and at the center of the square you have 3 areas, and it's essentially the starting points of why we do certain behaviors or not, and why more motivation is required. But the first one is physiological state. So that'd be like, if I'm stressed, am I going to have to use more energy to be motivated or less? It could be time of day. Like certain times of the day, you're going to be more motivated or not. Mm-hmm. The next one is environment. So if the availability of the goal is easy, like let's say like I want to go to the gym, but availability of it's far away. I got to drive 30 minutes.
Right. Like I want to eat an apple, but there's donuts in the MJ Cafe.
Right. And I got to go to the store. Do I actually want to do that?
Yep.
And the last area was past history, which is we learn from behaviors. Like if I go to the gym, I know if I go today with Mark, I can't slack off. He's going to push me hard. So I'm going to, this is what it's going to feel like. So those 3 areas at the middle, but then you evaluate these 3 areas, and that determines the cost versus benefit. So the cost of me going and buying apples at the store means I got to pay money for gas. I got to pay time. It's going to cost this amount of money, whatever. The benefits I know are going to be in the future. I'm not going to necessarily, like, do I really want to eat an apple right now versus eat the donuts that are right in here? And so those calculations of cost and benefits come together. They are calculated in my mind, and that determines my direction and the vigor that I have to take towards the goal. So if it's I already got my bags packed. I live 5 minutes down the road from the gym, and I know that I'm going to go, and maybe Mark's going to push me, but the long-term effect of that's going to be great. And I'm excited about it. I don't have to use as much vigor or motivation to get to the goal. Mm-hmm. But if I know I'm going to get the crap kicked out of me, it's a 20, 30-minute drive, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, man, I'm going to have to really use a lot of motivation, quote unquote, to get there.
Yeah.
So we actually, me and some of the guys did a Spartan race recently. And one of my favorite parts about the Spartan race at the end is the fire jump. But at the beginning, the guy or gal stands up there and they get you hyped up. And they say it like 500 times a day, but they're like, oh, are you ready to run and conquer your goals? Are you ready to go out there and conquer this course like a bunch of Spartans? What do Spartans say? And they like get you so hype. And just before you run, they say, and Spartans, what do we say? And everybody goes, oh, like does the whole thing. And I mean, and as soon as you do your third little deal, then they say, go, and everybody runs. And you, like the last one we did, you run up this hill and you feel like you're about to conquer Thermopylae or whatever it is. You're going to the hot gates and you are pumped for about 3 minutes. And you run down the hill, you're in the woods, the music is gone, all you hear is your own footsteps.
Yeah.
And all that motivation, it gets you hyped, but it's gone. Mm-hmm. And you're out there by yourself. And this one was only a 5K or whatever, so it's not that far. But man, you're out there by yourself. I didn't see nobody I knew for 3 miles, 3.2 miles. And I get down to the end, you do the little fire jump by yourself. I mean, if you're running with people, there's more motivation. But I was out there by myself. Mm-hmm. And that little motivation, the minute, I didn't think about that until just now.
Yeah.
And the next time I run the race, you're motivated at the beginning. The resistance is probably higher, but you got to use a lot of motivation. And it's nice when somebody gives you the external, but when it comes from the internal of like, I'm not here just to run this race. I'm here to make myself better. I'm here to accomplish a goal. I'm here to better my future. Then the race feels different. That's just icing on the cake that somebody gets you hyped up. So when you have the drive, my goal is a system change. It's becoming something versus just I want to run a 5K. The 5K is going to be over. I want the 5K of life. So when I say motivation is crap, that guy at the beginning, that's motivation to me. I'm finishing this because I'm running the race of life. That is the drive for me. That's why I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, because I'm looking at the long term of becoming, which is what James Clear often talks about. But I think it's important in his book. One of my favorite things, it blew my mind and it made so much sense in his Atomic Habits book is the dopamine graph. Have you seen that?
Does it look like... No?
It's 4 different graphs that go in a line, and it's on his model for what cues behaviors like habits, and it's cue, craving, response, reward are the 4 areas. And what he says is your dopamine, the feel good stuff, is at its highest in anticipation of the behavior. So if I'm going to eat a donut, like let's say like tonight, like let's say, because I know y'all like y'all's little crumble cookies.
Yep.
You're like, I'm going there after work today, and I can't wait. All day you are craving it, and your dopamine is at its highest in the anticipation of it. Think about when you're going on vacation, you're going to Disney. I cannot wait to get there, and you get excited. And the day of, you're like, we're leaving today. I'm so excited. You pull up into the parking lot, and you're going up to the gate, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And then you get there, and when you're there, your dopamine drops, and it goes down to a lower level. And the whole time you're there, like, it doesn't feel as good as the anticipation.
Yep.
So every time, like, you're going to smoke a cigarette, you're excited about smoking the cigarette, but as soon as you start smoking the cigarette, your dopamine levels drop. So that's why when we're eating the donut, it feels good while you, like, take that first bite, but then while you're in it, that's when guilt sets in, or, oh, yeah, it's good. And then you get another one because you're like, I'm trying to spike it again. A second cigarette doesn't make you, I mean, I don't know, but I would assume it probably doesn't make you more excited that you're doing it. It's, I can't wait for break because.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I read about that when he said most of us think that motivation happens after. Like you're saying, we think that it happens after when it actually truly happens before.
Right.
He says motivation is often the result of action, not the cause of it. Which is funny to think about.
It is.
To think about that in my mind. You would think about, like, if I worked out, like if I went on a walk, I would be more motivated after it. But you're actually more motivated. It's the result of that action. And then I liked how he said objects in motion tend to stay in motion. For those of you who don't know, that's one of Newton's laws of inertia.
Thank you.
It's right. I like to put my nerd hat on every now and again. But objects in motion tend to stay in motion. So if you've started that ball rolling, whatever that ball is, if you keep it in motion, it's more likely to stay in motion. So if if I go on a walk for a couple weeks and then I stop for a couple of weeks, sometimes it's hard to get that ball back in motion.
Oh yeah.
Especially like right now, it's like I was on vacation last week, and then we're going to the beach this week, and so my ball stops rolling down a hill. I mean, it's not because I'm not doing it every day. And so I think that is really interesting, is that your motivation can remain higher if you keep that ball rolling. A lack of mental motivation is often linked to a lack of physical motivation. So I think about that as like when you're laying on the couch. If I'm laying on the couch, if I'm not physically motivated, then I'm also not mentally motivated.
Right.
So I feel like the mental motivation follows the physical motivation. So, if I can, on the weekends when I'm just trying to veg out, but I also know that I need to go on a walk, Or I need to make our grocery list so we can be prepared for the week and I can make good choices, all of those things. I got to get up and get moving, because typically when I get up and I get moving, I can make all that other stuff happen. I
totally.
can find the mental fortitude to go on a walk if I can just get up off the couch and like do something else, do a load of laundry. It's got to be done anyway, right? Or unload the dishwasher. So I think I really liked that. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion. If you can get yourself going physically, then a lot of times the mental, and physically doesn't mean like go hit the gym. It literally just get up.
Get up.
Yeah. Then I think
That's what
that
my
can
mom
help.
used to say, get up. There's your motivation right there. You don't want to get a spanking, man, when you're a kid, you know? It's funny you say about the physical and mental side, because mentally you're not there. But physically, you know, you're capable. You just mentally don't. I mean, your mind controls everything, right? And so if your mind's, you're not always going to be mentally motivated to want to do. In fact, most times you are not going to be motivated. You just have to do it. And like you said, if I can just get my butt off the couch, force myself to get up, I'll feel better. I don't know where I heard this, but they said if you want more of something, you have to give more of that thing. I think it was Blake, maybe Blake, Next Star Blake. If you want more of something, you have to give more of that thing. If you want more time, you have to give your time away. People will reciprocate that back to you. Or if you want more time later in your life, extend your life, you have to give some of your time right now at the gym, right? If you want more love from people, you don't just hold it all to yourself hoping it's come in. You give love to other people, they give it back. Yeah. So it's like there's all these things, like if you give more of this thing, you get more of it back. Thinking about energy levels. If I lay on the couch all day because I'm tired, my people out there, you're like, I just want to lay down this weekend. What happens when you lay on the couch all day? You feel worse than how you started. And you're like, oh, I thought I would have more energy. It don't work like that, right? But going back to what you were saying earlier, about how it works like chemically in your body. This article I was reading, it says availability of a goal, let's say mealtime, like going to lunch, is hormonal, behavioral, and neural. So it says changes happen in the body that give rise to a heightened desire for things. So you anticipating lunchtime, your hormones change.
Yeah.
You feel the anticipation, literally chemicals, dopamine's getting released in your body about the anticipation of the behavior. So the interesting part about these goals, so we say I can have a bad goal for myself, donut, crumble cookies, and I anticipate those things, and chemically and neurally and behaviorally, I'm like, I want more of that. And so now you get excited about it and you start walking down this path that you know is not good. But the motivation to do the right things require a little bit more energy, but you know in the long term are better. But that's not how our minds work. You want immediate, positive, certain, positive, immediate picnic. Positive, immediate, certain. But not all these things that we know that we need to do are going to be positive, immediate, certain. It might be negative. It doesn't feel good. It's immediate and certain that going to the gym with Mark Cagle is going to just crush me because I can't slack off and he's going to be all over me, right? So it might be negative, but you know the good outcome of that in the long term is going to be better. So I think that's the hard part. You look at motivation, you're like, I need somebody to get me going, and it really should be you. It's just hard to make those decisions when they count, and it counts like now. Like you got to do it right now.
I think you bring up a really good point about positive, immediate, and certain. So for those of you bringing out the best in people, also in the library, Aubrey Daniels talks about the most impactful reinforcers or consequences we can have are positive, immediate, and certain. Which positive, obviously, good, we like it. Immediate, it happens right now, and certain, it happens almost all of the time. And so, therefore, the least influential consequences are, it doesn't positive or negative. Negative obviously would be worse, but future and uncertain. And I think that is what makes a lot of this so hard is because a lot of the things we need motivation for, we cannot see immediate results. And the results are not certain. Just like if you're trying to eat better, if you're trying to exercise more, just live a healthier lifestyle, that's all future thinking. I can't eat a salad today and see my pant size go down tomorrow. That's how I want it to happen. Shallon and I joke about this all the daggone time. I worked out on Monday. That scale better be down on Tuesday. That's not how it works. And so I think that's what makes a lot of this incredibly difficult, which is where I think the motivation is crap piece kind of comes from, is because we can't stay at that heightened sense of motivation all the time. There has to be a bigger reason that we are okay with the scale not going down the very next day. I have to be thinking of, in the future, what does this mean for me? It means I get to be a part of the big moments in my kids' lives. It means I get to, watch them build their own families. I get to do all of those things in the future, because I'm not going to see necessarily all the fruits of my labor right now. It's not immediate. And it's uncertain. I hope that this don't happen, but none of us are promised tomorrow, right? So I could be working my tail off for future me to be able to meet my grandbabies, and that never happens. There is an uncertainty to all of that, and there is a future thinking to all of that, which I think is one of the things that makes that type of commitment more difficult.
Yeah. I heard this quote, and it says, every day you're making choices to extend the length of your life and the quality of it, or shorten it and worsen it. Every decision we make is either lengthening our life or shortening it. And I think when we can look at perspective of what we forked the mouth, going to the gym or not, maybe it's the decisions I make with my family, and it's not just lengthening the extent of my life, it's the quality.
Yeah.
If I choose not to spend time with my kids, what is it going to do for the quality of my life later, right? If I would just lay on the couch and veg out. You look at, I know I'm getting on my high horse here, but social media is terrible. It's completely ruined us when it comes to dopamine addiction. People sit there and, what is it called?
Doom scrolling.
Doom scrolling, man. I've caught myself in that so many times, just scrolling. I'm like, what am I doing? And I came home one day and I'm on my phone, I'm on Instagram, and then I put my phone, it has a magnet on the back, I stick it to my shelf in my closet, and I'm changing clothes, and I walked over, I had my pants around my ankles, and I actually scrolled it one more time, and I'm like, what am I doing right now?
I can't even get dressed without.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Can't even get undressed. I couldn't wait to get my daggum shorts on in the house. I just walk around in just my shorts. But it's what am I doing right now? So social media has just ruined us when it comes to dopamine addiction and what feels good. We just live in the society of what feels good all the time. And unfortunately, it's hard to break free. So I think of, okay, if we're going to try to change the direction of our life, we say motivation is something that can help get me there. It's a vehicle to get me started. It's not going to be there all the time. Maybe motivation starts it, but drive and that vision for the future, knowing that I need to do things to get me there, that is what's going to lock you in. And James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, is a great one to start with, of just getting in positive habits for yourself. And there's nothing sexy about long-term goals. I mean, the final goal may be great, but getting there, it ain't sexy and it ain't fun. And that's why most people give up along the way, because it's hard. But some strategies to help you maintain that. Maybe we should just call this one goal setting part 2, because if I want something for myself, I need to intentionally schedule hard things for myself, daily. So there's a quote that says, do things when they're challenging, when it's easy. So when we are uncomfortable, when things are uncontrollably challenging, you'll be ready for it. So schedule stuff that's hard while it's easy, so that when bad things come along the way, you're I've already done things that are worse than this, or I've prepared for this. I was sharing a little bit before we started today. I did a Go Ruck challenge. I've done a couple now. And basically, you throw a pack on your back, you pay this company money to thrash you for a little while. I signed up for a 12-hour event in South Kakalaki from 9 p.m. till 9 a.m. And you have a 30-pound, I think it's 30 or 40-pound pack on your back, and then they gift you with giant water jugs and sandbags and weights, and then they make you walk very quickly or running around wherever, a city, a town, wherever. We were in like a little city area, and it sucked, but it was awesome.
Sounds horrible.
It was awesome. And like in my mind, I'm like, the things that I know suck, I need to go do because it's going to mentally make me better. And guess what? If I go to a restaurant and they don't have the thing I'm looking for, you hear some people lose their mind. What do you mean you don't have this? Or maybe they call Morris-Jenkins and like, what do you mean you can't get out to me in the next 2 hours? And it's like, number one, that's pretty awesome. But most companies can't do that.
Yeah.
But number two, it's like, where's that ability to be like, that's cool. Like, have some patience. I'm a little uncomfortable right now. It's hot in my house, but I can recognize that other people probably have it a lot worse than me. At least I have air conditioning. Mm-hmm. If you push yourself physically hard, your mental game increases too. I'm a big believer in pushing yourself physically so that your ability to handle, your capacity to handle hard mental moments, like you'll have the ability to handle that. That Go Ruck and a lot of the other crap I do, if I'm not pushing myself physically, I can feel my mental side slipping where I'm like, you feel sorry for yourself or you're just like, oh, I can't believe that, or what are we going to do? It's like, I'm going to figure it out, right? So I feel like I have to have that physical side consistently in my life. Otherwise, my mental side slips. So if I don't push myself in one way, how am I going to be able to handle that in any other way? So that mental piece, scheduling hard things in your life for yourself, whether that be weekly, a couple times a week, or daily, or whatever it is, that's going to help you in that long-term success to where you don't need as much extrinsic motivation to push you forward.
Yeah, I wrote that down too. He says to schedule your motivation. Professionals set a schedule and stick to it. Amateurs wait until they feel inspired or motivated.
Amen.
And I thought that was a really profound, because I found myself, just waiting until the moment strikes me, feel inspired or motivated. But he says that we just gonna keep waiting because that's the easy thing to do. So I loved the thing, professionals set a schedule and stick to it. Schedule your motivation. And then you'll be doing the hard things when you're most motivated instead of just waiting for the moment to strike you.
Yeah. Ain't nobody coming.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Yep.
It's up to us. There's a quote, is no one's coming, it's up to us. Ain't nobody going to do nothing for your life but you.
Yeah. It reminds me of Be Do Have.
Yeah.
Yep. The world is not set up to give us things. If you want it, then you have to decide what you're going to be, what you're going to do, so that you can have what you want. It's not the other way. When I, that's just setting yourself up to keep waiting around.
Yeah.
So it's, you decide when you're going to have what you're going to do with that motivation.
Yeah. And I feel life is way too short for you sitting around waiting for someone or something to come around and motivate you. You'll wait your entire life and be like, oh man, I guess I'll just do this thing again. Like there ain't no round two. You get round one and that's it.
Yeah. There was another thing he said that you were reminded me of. Now, hear me clearly. Say, I'm not doing this ruck situation.
You should.
You also did not say, or maybe you did, but I was reading my notes. Y'all, they do this in the nighttime.
9 p.m. to 9 a.m.
That's ridiculous.
That's the 12-hour, but they have 24 and 48.
And it sounds like some of it is located in the forest, in the woods.
You just had a close encounter, didn't you? With a copperhead.
Don't even talk about it. Listen, y'all, I can't even be at a pool and have a 3-foot copperhead not even close to me. So we know I'm not going outside in the forest for 12 hours that night. Okay, so your level of discomfort and my level of discomfort are different. Let me just say that. But one of the things he says is to maintain perspective, that the discomfort is temporary. And when you step back and you think about that, it's like I've been trying to fast 1 day a week.
That's discomfort.
So 24 hours. I don't ever quite make it 24. Let's just call a spade a spade. It's more like 22 but I'm still going to give myself credit for 22. So I've been trying to fast 1 day a week for 24 hours. And I think that really does, you can maintain perspective there. The discomfort is temporary. I've done it now multiple times, so I know I can do it. I know I can go that long. And there are times when I am in the midst of the 24 hours and it is hard. Like, all I want, I don't care what it is. I just need something to eat. I'm so hungry. But it really is about just saying, you've done this before. You can do it. You've done it before. You're going to get to eat in a couple of hours. And so maintaining that perspective, it's not that I'm not going to be able to eat for the rest of my life. It's like, I can do this for a few more hours. The discomfort is temporary. So when you're trying to work on this motivation piece, that's one thing he says to do, is to just maintain that perspective. It's hard right this second. It's not going to be hard forever. It's going to be hard for the 12 hours at night in the forests. Like I said, that's too much for me. But it's temporary. It will be over. So I think that's in the moment, I think that might be hard. But if you go into it knowing that you need to maintain that perspective, I think that makes it a little bit easier.
Well, you're scheduling the hard things for yourself, and the health benefits of that. There's huge health benefits for fasting like that. But then you also are pushing yourself mentally, which some people don't have the capacity for that yet. Mm-hmm. They're at the place in their life, if they even thought about fasting for 6 hours or 12, it's like, there's no way. I have to have food. You don't have to, but what if you plan that for yourself to say, I'm preparing myself health-wise, but also mental-wise. What if one day I'm not able to do that? Mm-hmm. I can guarantee if you hopped on a plane and something happened where they couldn't feed you your little food and you're in the air for 6 hours, you would make it. Yeah. You have no choice. So how about scheduling it when you do have a choice?
Yeah.
So that when you don't, it's like, I've done this before by choice. Mm-hmm. I was at the gym. I feel like all I talk about is the gym. I was at the gym at the Y one time, and the hot water went out. Mm. People were foregoing showers because it was a cold shower. Mm. And I was like, good. Like, for real, good. Let's go take a cold shower. And I choose not to take cold showers consistently, but I took one this morning. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'll go in there and turn the water down to where I could handle it. Could I go colder? Sure. But that day it was like, I'm going to go in there and take a cold shower. It is what it is. I've taken plenty of cold showers. If y'all remember from the newsletter, I've taken electric showers before against my will. I shocked myself in the shower. That's a story for another day. But it's like, plan that stuff in your life. Schedule hard things for yourself so that you're prepared one day for when hard things happen. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I've put myself intentionally through worse than this. So strategies, when you think about it, I mean, if you don't know how to plan hard things, start with small, easy stuff. So I think, the alarm clock, waking up early in the morning and preparing yourself versus flying out of the door last minute. Mm-hmm. But the alarm clock is the very first thing that you can start small with and say, hey, I'm going to set my alarm for 30 minutes earlier than I normally do. Wake up early. Jocko Willink takes a picture every day, most days, of his watch at like in the 4 o'clock hour for when he's waking up to go to the gym, almost every day, to show his level of discipline. He makes the choice to do that, but there's people out there that say the alarm clock's the dream killer. I'm tired and I don't want to wake up, so I'm going to hit snooze. Mm-hmm. How many times do you hit snooze every morning? Is that a sign of strength or weakness? Right? I'm making the decision to lengthen my life and determine the quality of my life by the decisions I make. Mm-hmm. Am I bettering myself with your decision, or am I worsening it? And I know it's not always okay to do this, but it works in my brain. I try to think very binary with a lot of things. I'm improving my life. I'm healing myself, or I'm killing myself mm-hmm. with this decision. Does the donut matter? You could say it doesn't, but if I eat that every day, Jim Rohn always talks about it, those little small decisions you're making every day, good or bad, are going to shape things, right? Either eat an apple every day, or you could eat a donut every day. Every one of those decisions is either healing you or killing you. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a donut. Sure. How many of those is it going to take? Or should you be eating something else, right?
Yeah.
I do think it's okay for a donut every once in a while.
Sure.
That's fine. But if we're really thinking about the extent of our life, or the decisions I'm making right now, I have a dream, I'm going to go do this. Well, how are you working on that? Well, I haven't got around to it yet. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right? Like, let's freaking go. It's go time.
Yeah,
Like, your life is today. It's right now. Like,
Even if
let's
it's
go.
something is like going back to what we read about in the News is like developing yourself or growing yourself. I think about, I've tried to make the conscious decision to start listening to books on my commute, listening to podcasts on my commute. It's the same thing. To me, that's also the same thing as choosing the apple over the donut.
Yep.
I'm choosing that time that I'm in my car anyway. I'm choosing that time I'm spending that time on myself and my growth and my development. And instead of, and don't get me wrong, do I listen to my 90s hip hop? Yes, I do. I think that there's room for that as well because I enjoy music. But I'm also spending a good majority of that time working on myself. So it's making that choice, the quality of my life. If I want to keep growing myself as a professional, then I have to do things that grow myself as a professional. And as much as I love 90s hip hop, that's not going to get me there.
That's not going to cut it.
It's not. And so I have to make some different decisions in that moment. Going along with that, he says, life is a constant balance between giving into the ease of distraction or overcoming the pain of discipline. And then he said, what is life if not the sum of 100,000 daily battles and tiny decisions to either gut it out or give it up? And I was like, that is so true. I mean, every day we're making tons of these little decisions, these internal battles, just trying to decide, or am I going to give it up or am I going to battle it out, at this moment? So I thought that was a good way to look at it too, is are we going to give into the ease of distraction or overcome the pain of discipline?
Yeah.
Jim Rohn says something about that too.
Yeah.
What is it? You either have to live with the pain of regret or the pain of discipline.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Something like that.
Something like that.
That makes sense.
So you either are disciplined enough to stay the course, and you feel the pain of the discipline because it's not easy, or you feel the pain of regret because you give in to the distractions or the easy things, and then you feel guilty, or you're filled with regret for the decisions that you did or didn't make.
Yeah. And a lot of that stuff just simply does just come down to decisions of, do you want to do it or not? Mm-hmm. I heard a guy online. I mean, it's pretty binary and graphic. Like, it'll just cut to the chase here. He says, he was, I guess he's a professional salesman. Well, he is. And he says, hey, if you had to make $10,000 by the end of this month, I don't care how you do it, you bring me $10,000 or I'm killing your mom. And I was like, dang, Jana, like, why we got to go? So I was like, I'm listening. So he says, I have a gun. That's what's going to go down if you don't bring me $10,000. Meredith, could you do it?
Yes.
Yes. You will find a way. Mm-hmm. I will rob a bank. I will pull over the Garda trucks or whatever they're called, the armored trucks.
Yeah.
I'll stick one up, or I'll find some business to start. I will find a way. I'll sell lemonade on the side of the road day and night if I got to do that, right? I'll steal flowers from somebody's front yard and go stand on the corner right down the street on Carowinds Boulevard and sell flowers to people. I will find a way to make $10,000, right? Mm-hmm. What if I said you had to make me $10,000 in 2 weeks? Could you do it?
Yeah.
Would you do it?
For my mom?
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah, we would find a way. Mm-hmm. So why aren't you doing it right now? That's what he posed the group. He's like, guys, y'all are in sales. All of it has to do with your effort and energy. If people aren't walking into the car dealership, you could call somebody. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I think there was one of the ladies, she was saying that the dealership she was working at, they were going to put up televisions inside the place so they could watch Netflix while they're waiting for their customers to come in. And she was like, what is happening right now? Like, how are we maximizing our time? She's like, this makes no sense.
All that does is encourage people to stay in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then somebody shows up in the lot. Let me finish this scene. Are you kidding me right now? Like, you get one life. What are we doing with our spare time? We're wasting it, right? And so this guy's like, if you could make $10,000 by the end of this month, because I'm forcing you to. Why are you not forcing yourself to maximize your life right now? Why are you not forcing yourself to find out every avenue? Like, if that's what's important to you, if we're saying that I have a dream, I have a dream. If I have a dream that this is what I want to accomplish, but I'm waiting for X, I'm waiting for somebody to motivate me, I'm waiting for the right movement, I'm waiting for the market to change. If you really wanted it, you would have it right now. And so, like, God put that in your life. He gave you that desire. Why are you not chasing after? You get one life, and that is it. And we have no idea how long it's going to be. Am I making decisions to extend my life, the quality and length, or am I shortening it and making it worse? And so when we think about our decisions like that, why should you ever have to have somebody forcing you to better yourself?
Yeah. No
one's going to do that for you but you. And so those little motivating moments, is nice hearing stuff online, or like you hear something, you're like, man, I'm going to do it. But guess what? It's going to be hard right off the jump. As soon as you get started, you're going to meet resistance. And as my kids football coach, Steve Kessler, his name is Chief, he says, what are you going to do when you face resistance? Are you going to let it mow you over, or are you going to push through it? Like, are you going to conquer it? And that's the choice that we have to make, because as soon as you start going down this path, life was never programmed for it to be easy. It was meant to give you resistance, to show you, not the world, but show you how bad you want it. If you really want it, you'll figure it out. $10,000 by the end of the month. Or what does Chris Voss say? 60 seconds or she dies. It's like $10,000 or she dies. Like, if you live your life like that, a lot of things could happen if you had to.
You would figure it out.
Always.
Yeah. Corey sent me something. It reminded me of a graphic that was in the book Think Again by Adam Grant, which is kind of like this thing you're talking about, where we're waiting and waiting and waiting. And what we end up on is, like, you know what the infinite loop looks like a figure eight.
Yeah.
And so when we're on there, you know, when this happens, when that happens, when someone comes along and motivates me and this and that, what we do is we're putting ourselves on that infinite loop. We just keep, it's like we circling it around. We're just keep circling and circling and circling and circling. And we're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for someone or something to happen that's going to push us off the loop to get us started on something else. That's just not how this world is set up.
No.
And it's, and I think this is so true. He talks about in the article that we never regret it once it's done. You know, once you've met that goal, or once you've kind of committed yourself to whatever this is that you're going to do, there's very, very few times, if ever, that we regret it once it's done. And I think that also, I think, helps to maintain that perspective. It's hard right now, but I know I'm not going to regret it once it's done. And so I think that's another way. That's another strategy to keep in your pocket is to know that I'm going to be proud of myself. I'm going to be better for everybody around me once it's done. And so I think that's, to me, it helps to give it that perspective of keep going, because once it's done, there's never been a time I've regretted going on a walk.
Yeah.
There's never been a time I've regretted, making a better food choice. Did I miss the crumble cookie? Sure. But I was also proud of myself for making the right choice. So I think it's always, we don't recognize that feeling in ourselves, that we've done something good, we've done something right. We don't regret it when we make that right choice.
Yeah. And you're not going to, just like you said, you're not going to remember the time that you turned down the crumble cookie, but you'll remember the fortitude of, like, I've made hard decisions. Mm-hmm. Most people don't remember what you say to them. They remember how you made them feel.
Yep.
And that's the types of stuff that we carry around with us. The decisions we make, we don't always remember those. You remember some defining moment decisions, but you remember how you feel on the inside of, I am a disciplined person, not I've just made disciplined decisions. Mm-hmm. The decisions have created this person that you've become.
Yeah.
And they say it's, a lot of the things that we choose to do, it's not the lack of knowledge that causes people to fail. It's the lack of action that we take. Sometimes people are waiting around for the actual, I just got to wait for this information, or I need to do some more studying. A lot of times it's just make a decision, like just do something, make a choice. And if you're my procrastinators out there, because I can be like that sometimes, if it's, I don't want to go, I don't know if I want to go to the gym tomorrow. I'm tired. Okay. Maybe you are tired, but put it off one more day. Not going, but just go. Just go tomorrow. If you're still tired tomorrow, don't go the next day. And then when you get to tonight and you say the same thing about tomorrow, just procrastinate one more day and just go tomorrow. Go that day, right? And you can just keep pushing those little things off. Eventually, you're going to have a day where you're like, all right, I didn't go. But you had 5 other days that you did decide to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he says, consider every thought you have a suggestion, not an order.
Yeah.
So, like, when your mind says, I'm tired, I don't think I can do it today. Or if you're in the middle of a workout or whatever, God, man, I'm tired. I'm feeling, my muscles are feeling weak. I think I'll just do 8 reps this time, not 10, whatever it is. If you think of that thought as a suggestion, not an order, then you have the choice. Because sometimes we think, oh, I'm tired, done, see you later. Like our mind has said, stop. But when you think of it that way, everything that my mind suggests to me, that's what it is. It's a suggestion. It's not an order. I don't have to do what my mind suggests. I can make a different choice. And I thought that was really great, because I mean, I have those thoughts.
We all do. Yeah.
Like, I'm tired, I don't want to do this today, or whatever the case may be. But that's just a suggestion. I can still choose to get up off the couch and go do whatever I need to do for the day.
Yeah. You got it in you to do it.
Yeah.
We all do.
We do.
I always like David Goggins' book. I think it was his first one. And I'm sure you've seen it in his videos. He says, just when you think you're done, you're only about 40% done. And a lot of his races, some of this, I don't know, if you read his first book?
No.
Can't Hurt Me. It's a good one. It's in the library.
Yeah.
Both of them are. Gotcha.
Thank you.
Gotcha. But he was talking about his very first race that he did. It was like a 100-mile race, something like that. And he didn't even train for it. And he goes and runs this race. I think he makes it 20 miles, which is like almost a marathon. And he's got like a lot more than that, 80 more miles. So he keeps on running. He makes it to where I think he's at the last 18. And all he took out there, he's not an experienced runner, but all he took was crackers and Myoplex. And he's running this race. And he literally like sits down in a chair and he's like exhausted. He doesn't even he can't even like go to the bathroom. And he doesn't have the energy to get up to go to the bathroom. So he literally craps his pants right there. His wife is there at the time. And she looks at his watch and she's like, look, you've got 17 miles to go. You're not going to make it. And he's like, heck with that, and gets up and finishes the last 17 miles straight. Just makes the decision. And he's talking about like, you think you're done and you have nothing left. You always have more in the tank to go. And what's crazy to think is that situation with him is so extreme. Like I couldn't imagine running 100 miles. If I had to run 100 miles, do you think I could? I might be crawling across the line, but I'll finish it. To think that's extreme. So when we look at these situations in our life, we're like, oh, man, life is really hard right now. I went to Applebee's and they charged my card twice. It's just so hard. I went to Arby's and they didn't have the apple cherry turnover. I can't even believe it. Can you believe how much DoorDash is? You probably shouldn't be eating it. Arby's doesn't really matter that much. And like the worst thing that happened to you is somebody charged your card twice. They're going to give you your money back. Like, quit complaining. And so sometimes we find ourselves in these moments like things are just so hard right now. And hear me clearly say, this is for everybody out there. Life can be really hard. And these are like light examples. There's all kinds of examples in our life of like stuff is really, really hard. You've got it in you. Like, keep going. Keep going. Just one foot. That's all it is. And when we look at motivation, sometimes we don't have motivation. There's no extrinsic motivation. It's got to come from the intrinsic side of, I have to do this for myself. I have to do this for my family. I mean, being comfortable in our life comfort can kill. It's probably one of the most deadly things. It lures you into that false sense of security, and you're like, I'll just go on this a little longer. And it's comfortable just to lay in that bed and just do nothing. It's comfortable to keep on doing the same things I do every single day. It's comfortable to stay in the relationship that you know you shouldn't be in, but it's comfortable when it's familiar. But you know that the decision that you have to make is hard. Make the decision and move on and look at the life that you could possibly have. If you're a procrastinator, put it off one more day longer and do what you need to do today. Put it off till tomorrow. And I know that there's these people out there too, because I can be like this sometimes, indecisive. I don't know which decision is going to be the best one. Just make a decision.
Yeah.
You might find out the path that you went down is the wrong one. If you're walking in the woods and you walk down the wrong path, you turn around and go back and go down the other way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
More than likely, it's not some life-threatening decision.
Right.
It's just I made a bad choice.
Just
right?
like Dewey said, we're not looking for perfection, which is hard for some of us. We're not looking for perfection. We shouldn't be looking for perfection out of ourselves. We're not looking for perfection at the people here at Morris-Jenkins. What we're looking for is just a step toward continued improvement.
Yeah.
That's it, just a step. And if the step is in the wrong direction, then we'll turn around and we'll make a different step. I think that's a little bit harder in the moment, but I do think that's also to maintaining the perspective.
Right.
That it's not the end of the world. Let's just make a decision, and that's hard. This is the pot calling the kettle black, y'all. Okay, just so we know, because I do struggle making decisions. But what I have had to learn is that making a decision and getting started is better than staying still.
Yeah.
Because that's also not getting you anywhere. That's a dead end road if we're just standing still. I'd rather take a step down the wrong road and be able to come back and reevaluate than not do anything at all.
Standing firm in the middle of the road, you just made the end of the road. Like,
yep.
That's it. You got to keep walking one way or the other. I know Dewey always says if you ain't growing, you're dying. You got to be moving some direction. And that's very binary to think about it, but in a lot of cases, that's how it is.
Yeah.
And I think there's always gray in life. And I think there's a time and a place to be logical and smart about the decisions you make, because our decisions are important. But we can't be frozen in indecision saying, I'm not sure what decision to make. Think about it, consort with people, ask advice, but ultimately you have to make your decision.
Yep.
One of the best people I've had in my life was actually from Lululemon. And she was one of the best advice givers ever, because she never gave me advice. She actually would ask me questions and probe my own thoughts. And she really helped me explore my own mentality behind things and what my desires were going to be, and actually helped me make one of the best decisions of my life. And like I appreciate the fact that she didn't should on me, which is like, you should do this, you should do that. It was listening and asking questions, and then was like, it sounds like you know what decision you want to make. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure. And it was funny, but I had to make a decision. But man, sometimes hearing that outside perspective, if you're not sure what decision to make on that long-term path, I mean, sometimes that's important too. So I think for all of our people out there, the strategies of scheduling hard things in our life, setting goals for yourself, and recognizing, even from Atomic Habits, it's not just about the goal, it's about becoming something. That's really the goal. So I know we've said it before, but it's not I'm running a race, I am a runner, right? Accountability is really important. If you're going to have a goal for yourself and you're like, all right, the motivation for me is having accountability, part of it, right? And so I need to go tell people this is my goal, this is what I'm trying to do. They'll keep you on the path. And if you're a procrastinator, man, procrastinate one more day and do the right thing today and push those things off.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think there's a lot of ways for us to work on our motivation, I guess, if that's the right word. I do think that the motivation has to be combined with discipline and drive. I think the motivation can get you started. I think it can keep you going for a certain amount of time, but then that discipline and that drive is going to need to take over. But if you're trying to get the motivation going, then I think those things, the things we talked about today about goal setting, maintaining perspective, realizing that we don't regret it when it's done. I think one thing that he talks about in there is the Goldilocks rule. And he talks about humans love challenges. We innately like challenges, but we have to find just the right amount of challenge, because if it's too hard, like we'll never be successful, then it's really difficult to maintain motivation through that. That's why we suggest, and everybody suggests, making those goals small.
Right.
If I say 50 pounds, that feels like a little bit too much. But if I say 5 pounds, that sounds like something I can do. So the Goldilocks rule would be you want to challenge yourself where it's attainable, but it's just out of reach. Because it feels like I need to work a little bit to get it. But it's not insurmountable.
Right.
So I thought that was important too, to recognize, like, if you're trying to motivate yourself, are you motivating yourself towards something that falls within the Goldilocks range? Mm-hmm. Or are you or is it too easy? Because you're not going to stay motivated, by doing something that's too easy. He talks about playing tennis. Okay, so I'm not a good example because I'm not a good tennis player, but we'll just roll with it. If I go out and I play tennis against my 5-year-old nephew, then that's too easy. I'm not going to stay motivated. If I go out and I try and play tennis against Serena Williams, also not going to...
Gonna crush her.
Also not going to stay motivated, because there's not a competition there. If I go out and try and play tennis against, like, my sister, or Shallon, like, there is the possibility of victory, right? There's the possibility there, because we're more evenly matched. Am I going to have to work hard for it? Yeah, because I'm not that great at tennis either. But that's the Goldilocks zone. So you want to also try and make sure you're within the Goldilocks zone, or it's going to be hard to maintain the motivation too.
Right. Yeah. I think when you look at goals themselves, if you masterfully plan them out and you make them in that Goldilocks zone and know that these goals that I'm making are going to better me as a person, it's on the path of becoming something, the likelihood of you accomplishing them is going to be great.
Yeah.
So if you're unsure about, hey, I need a little bit more motivation, we've talked about some of those things today, but sounds like even going back and listening to our podcast on discipline would help.
Yep.
And then even in goal setting, like,
yep,
how do I set goals for myself? What does that look like? You can go back and listen to that. We dropped some good nuggets along the way. Mm-hmm. But motivation is one of those tough things. It sounds really good and it feels good. Man, I love me a good motivational video. It gets me hyped.
Yeah, just the one you were showing me before this.
Oh man, y'all, David Goggins is a beast. He is savage. I wrote it down and I was like, I don't know if I want to say this on this podcast, but basically he said, what does he say? Being successful in today's world is easy because most people are weak. And I was like, dang, David, like that's rough. And he's like,
cutthroat.
No, think about it. He's like, most people want easy things in life. On social media, if it ain't easy, I don't want it. They lay around. People are on their phones all day long. Mm-hmm. People don't want to do hard things anymore. It's whatever is easy. And I do think there's a lot of things in our life right now that have made things way too easy on us. And I mean, a lot of like, if you think about it, just think. Every bit of knowledge you could ever want is at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Everything. Mm-hmm. And not that long ago, if you wanted information, you had to go to the library and read it.
Yep.
You had to know somebody that could teach you it. And how long does it take for you to gain a lifetime's worth of knowledge from somebody? It's accelerated because they're teaching you the things to do and not to do, mm-hmm, but it still takes you years. And just think about people that are like work on Wall Street, or I want to become the best teacher possible. I want to learn how to weld. You apprentice with somebody, mm-hmm, and it takes you years to learn it. But like, everything we need now is like, I can just look it up right now.
Yeah, but yet we aren't.
we don't.
Or we don't.
And we sit around and we're like, oh man, I just don't know. I'll keep doing, I'll figure it out. And I'm like, oh my Lord, like, just get up and go do something. Life is the longest short thing we could ever hope for.
Yeah.
And you only get one shot. Like, go do it today. If you sit on the couch, listen to this right now, you should be getting up, lacing up your shoes, and run out the front door, go hit a mile real quick. Walk it, run it, crawl it. I don't care.
Yeah, do something.
Man, David Goggins, like, refused to be weak. Like, I ain't going to be weak. Like, I don't know. I'm really hyped up today. I don't know if it's the coffee. Like, I want to go run a mile right now. I don't even care. I'm going to go run out in my daggum, my dress shoes and my dress pants.
Y'all
I'm running down the street.
Running around the pond down there, right into Business Park.
Have you seen that? There was a funny meme. It was like a cartoon, and I think it's like Joe Rogan and some other people. They're in a spaceship that's like a cartoon, and they're like looking at Mars. They just took a rocket ship to Mars, and David Goggins is running over the hill, and he's like, "Let's go! I ran 4,672 million miles to get here." And they're like, "David, you don't even have a mask on." And he runs by, and they're like, "Where are you going?" "I'm going to Pluto, mother lover. Stay hard." And he's still running. I'm like, dude, that just gets me hyped. Man, if you have that mentality of like, just get after it every single day, man, you're like, I don't want to be at the end of my life laying in my deathbed, which we all gonna find ourselves at some point, looking back and be like, I wish I had made the decision when I could. I wish I had more time.
Yeah.
I wish I would have done all these things. I want to look back. I want to lay there with my knees shot, my back shot. I'm old and decrepit. Like, I squeezed every drop out of my life that I possibly could.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I want to be, versus being like, if I had just, or I wish I had.
I wish I had been motivated to blah, blah, blah. I wish I had,
Dude, spend time with your kids. Love your wife.
Yeah.
Love your husband. Go travel to that place. Like, whatever. I don't have the money to travel. If I held a gun to your mama's head,
Right.
you would figure it out. Figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't even know if I could do a rapid fire recap. There was a lot. Okay, how about I'll do this? I'll hit my high points.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, so I'll just focus on the things we said to help you with your motivation. First and foremost, do not, I don't know if we said this, but I hope it was clear. You cannot rely solely on motivation. It is going to fail you at some point. It is very normal for all of us, for our motivation to fluctuate. So you got to put some other things in place. Rituals, habits, discipline. You've got to put those other things in place, because motivation is not going to see you through all the way till the end. So some other things. Physical motivation, mental motivation follows physical motivation. So get your body moving, do something. It doesn't have to be anything intense, but mental motivation will follow physical motivation. Schedule motivation. Professionals schedule it, amateurs wait for it. So make sure you're scheduling it, and being at the times when you're being most motivated, schedule some of those really hard things. The Goldilocks rule, make sure you're staying in the optimal zone. You're not playing Serena, but you're not playing your 5-year-old nephew. You're in the middle of it. Getting immediate feedback when you are working towards a goal, it's important for us to know that we're making progress. Your thoughts are suggestions, not orders. You have the choice of whether to follow those things. Keep your perspective. The pain or the discomfort is temporary, and we don't regret it once it's done.
For sure.
So keeping those things in mind.
Make sure you're goal setting. Set good goals for yourself, not just ones just to accomplish, but think about, how can I become something different? James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. Create some accountability. Tell people whatever your goal is. If you're you're motivated towards something, so tell people what you're trying to accomplish. They'll help you out along the way. Building good, positive habits. Man, if you're a procrastinator, procrastinate one more day. Just do it today. Do it right. Schedule hard things. Do the hard things now when it's easy, so when hard things hit, you've already prepared yourself. They will be easy. And as Meredith said, start small. Make a small decision to do something that's going to make you a little bit uncomfortable, or just take one step in one direction. That is movement. But if you stand in the middle of the road, you've created your own dead end. Move towards what you want. I mean, I think we said this last time, but the magic that you're looking for is the work that you're avoiding. Do that today. Do it now. You got one life to live. That's it.
Yep. If nothing else will motivate you, then I don't know what else can motivate you other than that. Or any more than that. Okay. So our question for you on the Q&A on Spotify for today is, what can you get up and do now? What can you get up and do now? Take a step in some sort of direction. Find that motivation, get it started. Remember, usually the motivation will follow the action. So if you take the action, then more motivation will come. Okay, Rob, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, this was a good one.
Yeah, it was. This one does tie nicely with our discipline and our goal setting episodes. So if you haven't checked those out, please do. And also, please do not forget to follow us on Spotify or Apple so that you will never miss an episode. Have a wonderful 2 weeks until we are together again. Thank you for listening. Until then, peace, love, and easy does it.
Hey, appreciate y'all.